Hi guys, hi everyone. I guess we're back for another video of Cross Connect. I'm happy to be back after a 2 weeks hiatus. I'm really glad to address a new subject with you guys. After a four series that we've covered in the past, the five proofs of God existence or God creation, the ancient roots of racism, the American and French revolutions, comparative analysis, and the Asian Revolution that we covered in five part. And now we're back with a subject that is quite dear to me, which is money the root of all evil, the way it was perhaps corrupting men. And this is something that I want to address today. So, as you know my drill, I generally do some slides about what we're going to cover, and this is what we're going to see right now. As you can see, we're going to cover that now in five parts, plus a conclusion that will be a longer section. But basically, in part number one, we'll talk about the early civilization and the need for exchange, the origins of money due to bartering limitation. Then in part number two, we'll look at the emergence of commodity money, taking advantage of most common commodities to help exchange goods between humans. Then the development of coins and standardized currency to get over the limitation of commodity money, such as quality, storage, and to expedite trade. Then the need for the rise of paper money and credit, the accumulation of wealth by any means necessary, as you will see. Then finally, in the part number five, we'll talk about the dangerous equilibrium of the modern monetary system. Then we'll talk about the modern monetary system, focusing on its complexity, its susceptibility to crisis, and its potential for exploitation. Then actually, on the conclusion, we'll touch about the the moneyless utopia. So is that a utopia to talk about the moneyless society? And we'll look into what are the possibilities with a moneyless society. So guys, let's crack on with this subject. And I know this will be part that will be not short of interest. That's for sure. Um, yeah, to start with, what we can naturally say is that money has played a pivotal role in the development of Western society, acting as both a catalyst for progress, but also as a source of corruption and inequality. This is what I'm saying, is that to me, money is the root of evil, and the way that it has corrupted, human souls. On the one hand, money has been a tremendous accelerator of growth, driving innovation, trade, and economic development. It has facilitated transition from the Middle Ages to the modern era, and from the industrial age to the contemporary world. Now, on the other hand, history is full of examples of the destructive power of money. It has fueled slavery, racism, discrimination, and it has been used to justify imperialism and colonialism, leading to countless war and atrocities. Money has also corrupted societal, institution, undermining the sanctity of marriage, fostering inequality between men and women, and distorting the values of individuals and community. Now, if you think about this, the pursuit of money has often led to a distorted view of human value, with health and status becoming more important than character, compassion, or intelligence. Money has been used to buy anything, including children, women, and even human dignity. The accumulation of excessive wealth has also contributed to the rise of sociopathy, psychopathy, and deranged notions of material superiority. Given the destructive power of money, it is natural to question whether it is inherently evil or whether it is simply a tool that can be used for both good and evil. Is money the devil's pawn, designed to poison humanity? Or is it possible to create a society that is free from the corrupting influence of money? Before money, people relied fundamentally on the system called bartering, where they directly exchange goods and services, or whether the system had limitation and it required a double coincidence of wants. Both parties needed to have something the other desired. To overcome this, early societies began to use certain objects as a medium of exchange. These objects, often known as commodity money, were typically valuable, durable, and portable. Examples will be livestock. Cattle, sheep, and goats were commonly used as currency in ancient Mesopotamia. Precious metals such as gold, silver were prized for their value and were used to create coins in ancient Lydia and China. Shells, cowrie shells, were used as a currency in many parts of Asia and Africa. Over time, these objects evolved to more standardized forms of money, such as coins and paper currency. Today, we have a variety of digital currencies and payment system, further expanding the concept of money and money payment. We can appreciate the advantages of money over bartering. While bartering was a primary method of exchange for many centuries, it had several significant drawbacks. Double coincidence of wants. For barter transactions to occur, both parties needed to have something that the other desired at the same time. It often led to inefficiency and limited trade opportunities. Lack of divisibility. Many goods were not easily, divisible, making it difficult to trade for smaller quantity. For example, if you needed a loaf of bread but only a cow to trade, you will only have to find someone who wanted to trade a whole cow in exchange for a single loaf. It was really, not really a comparative model for exchange. So difficulties of storage. Some goods, such as livestock and perishable food, were difficult to store for extended periods, making it challenging to accumulate wealth or save for future purchases. Lack of standardization. Barter systems often lacked standardization, making it difficult to determine the fair value of goods and services. Money, on the other hand, addresses these issues by providing a common medium of exchange. Money acts as a universal medium of exchange, allowing people to trade for any good or service they desire, regardless of whether the seller wants what they have to offer. Being divisible, money can be divided in smaller units, making it easier to trade for goods and services for variable value. Being durable and portable, money is typically made of durable, materials and easy to carry, making it convenient for trade and storage. Providing a store of value, money can be saved and accumulated, allowing people to purchase goods and services in the future or to prepare for emergencies. In summary, what we can say is money offers several advantages over bartering, including greater efficiency, flexibility, and convenience. These advantages have contributed to the widespread adoption of money as a primary medium of exchange in modern economies. Now, what we'll see in this 5 part will be seeing the evolution of money and the way it was used not to advance only civilization, but to corrupt it. And we'll see in details what are the different elements, as I was explaining in the agenda, what will be the final outcome. The final outcome will be to have potentially a moneyless society. Then I will see you in part number 1 to start this journey around is money the root of all evil. Thanks. See you in part number 1. Guys, thanks for being there for the part number 1. So part number 1 is really the goal. Let me share my screen and then you'll see what we're going to talk about. Okay, So on the part number one, the dawn of the early civilizations, or the dawn of civilization and the need for exchange. We will explore the historical context and factors that led to the development of money in early civilizations. Okay, so to put us in the right context, we can say today that ancient Mesopotamia, a fertile region between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, basically in Iraq, where one of the earliest known civilization emerged. This is basically the kingdom of Sumer. While archaeological evidence suggests the presence of human activities in the region dating back hundreds of thousands of years. Okay, so naturally, as Mesopotamian societies grew in size and complexity, we can easily imagine that trade and economic interactions became increasingly important. However, the barter systems where goods and services were directly exchanged was becoming inefficient and cumbersome. Okay, so naturally, the historical context and factors that led to development of money in early civilization can be associated with multiple elements. One is agricultural revolution. The development of agriculture in Mesopotamia around 10,000 years ago led to the production of surplus of goods and food, which could be traded for other goods and services. Urbanization and specialization, the growth of cities and specialization of labor created a need to a more efficient system of exchange to facilitate trade between different groups. Naturally, we can also mention long distance trade. Mesopotamian civilization engaged in long distance trade with other regions such as Egypt and the Indus Valley, which required a more reliable and convenient way to exchange goods and services. And actually, we can imagine that the rise of temples and kings, the emergence of powerful temples and kings in Mesopotamian society created a need for a standardized medium of exchange to collect taxes and distribute resources. In the ancient land of Mesopotamia, nestled between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, as I was saying, basically in Iraq, the first glimmerings of civilization began to emerge. Humans who had roamed the region for hundreds of thousands of years started to settle down and cultivate fertile land. As they learned to domesticate animals and grow crops, they produced surpluses that could be traded with neighboring communities. The growth of societies and cities and the specialization of labor further fueled the need for a more efficient system of exchange because bartering has some limitations. Farmers, artisans, and merchants found themselves trading goods and services of varying value, and the barter systems, which had served them well in simpler times, was becoming increasingly cumbersome. To facilitate trade, Mesopotamian merchants began to use certain commodities as a medium of exchange. These commodities, known as commodity money, were typically valuable, durable, and portable. Examples of early commodity money in Mesopotamia, including livestock, grains, and precious metals. However, even commodity money had its limitation. It was difficult to store and transport, and its value could fluctuate depending on supply and demand. As Mesopotamian societies grew more complex, there was a growing need for a more standardized and reliable form of money. So this is what we will see in part number 2. Okay, thank you. See you there.